Ait squachel siam na stela cha. Janu I ait met the tangen a tia snet. Nisli konis jia tonga siam na stela cha tia tangen. Ina etla I chlem at the stela cha sta. Schotalicia thanesne, sla tia tongoch at husetnich. Na schweli, sla the tongoch etla. Nitla tongoch at satinas etla. Nisli konis jia tonga kalet. Kusane ila lenong at the ait met schuyams at na stela cha. Good evening, everybody. My name is Alicia. My Juanitum Kansna is Renee Sampson. Welcome to our territory here in Satinas, which is also known as Sidney. This is the territory of the Kusatnich people, and I'm speaking in Sanchothan language here tonight. My ancestors come from this land here, and I'm really happy to acknowledge all of you tonight, to come and listen to the beautiful stories, the beautiful journeys, the healing that has taken place tonight. So today I want to offer you an acknowledgement, a prayer, and a song. Geels na ko gaat thitha siam, lalenong thana stiwi latias net. Haish got the elis net kunt angus tolch, to gomsit sta thitha siam atia tingen. Angus na stela cha the ai sachalis hu chistang thitha siam, it the gom squele kunt atia tingen thitha siam. Haish go mokunste mokunt letong etlatia, shalit thitha siam. Stel nu chi chwalak na stela cha kunt the ai stel noch atia net thitha siam. So angus talchat the ait squelequins stangist at the ait soth. Great Creator, look after all my beautiful family here today, and my relatives and my new friends. I'm really honored to be able to be here and bless and give everybody the strength with these words that are directly connected to you, Thitha Siam. Also, I'd like to give everybody the ait squelequins, the good feelings to tell and share your beautiful stories of resilience. I'm now going to offer a song, a healing song. I call it my Sewa Stilum, a journeying and traveling song for healing. Yo ho ho hey yo hey yo hey yo hey yo ho ho hey yo hey yo hey yo hey yo ho yo hey 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 Yo ho yo hey yo hey yo hey yo hey oh hey 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 he yo hey he yo hey yo hey yo hey yo hey he yo ho hey yo hey yo hey yo hey he yo ho hey yo hey yo hey yo hey he yo ho hey yo hey yo hey yo hey he yo ho hey yo hey yo hey yo hey he yo ho hey yo hey yo hey yo hey Yo ho hey yo hey yo hey yo hey oh hey 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 he yo hey he yo hey yo hey yo hey yo hey Huis gegeld ziet as jem alleen ook dan is die weet dat jy net Nislik when is jy thast mok sein Stayam sinet the nakumalis sa chain So he wished the nasalsilala. So tonight, that was a song for my late grandmother. I'm wearing these nakuimalis orange earrings for her as a residential school survivor, as well as my grandfather, to honor their resilience as being beautiful human beings for overcoming the atrocities that they went through in residential school, and to offer healing and love tonight.
Hello, bonjour, and welcome to the Connection Project. Tonight, our speakers will be sharing stories about their experiences with mental health and their ongoing journey towards healing and wellness. And as such, we have Pamela Richardson, who is a professional counselor here tonight. Please stand and give a wave. Please approach tonight with an open mind and an open heart, and get ready to be immersed in the deep and touching stories of our speakers. My name is Jessica Williamson, and I am your MC for tonight. I am honored to be here guiding you and leading you through this experience, so let's get started. Please welcome to the stage Jen Verscher.
Outside my kitchen window grows a tree. It's gigantic, and it grows like this. And that is life. I'm about 7 years old. I'm supposed to be in school. My mom thinks I am. She's doing laundry. She comes around the corner, and 7-year-old me is sitting on the stairs. Jennifer, what are you doing here? Mummy, life is not easy for me, I say. There's a little boy, and I've fallen in love. I'm about 7 years old still. I make him a gift out of an egg carton. I give it to him, my hands are shaking. He takes it, he looks at it, he throws it on the ground, and he stomps it with his feet. And my heart breaks. I can't seem to connect to anybody. I can't connect to myself. I'm incredibly lonely. There's a creek down by my house, though. And I go there when I'm feeling really frightened and alone. And I go down and I talk to the trees, step into the water, and I feel it across my feet. And I know that there's something more. And it helps bring me to where I am and ground me into that place. There's also a place I go when I'm on the school ground. It's snowing. Anyone who came to look at this would see probably nothing in the snow, maybe little different levels, but to me, it's an ice castle. In my imagination, I can build this beautiful place that I can be, and that's what connects my heart. But still, I'm lonely inside. I'm in my 20s. I'm standing in my house. I'm alone. My husband's at work. I'm waiting for him to come home, but I have to make dinner again. I don't know what to make. I'm tired. I'm tired of this over and over again. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. The walls are closing in. I go down the hall. I go to the closet. I grab a blanket. I crawl inside to the darkest part of it. I hook my finger underneath, pull it closed, and hide in the darkness. Oh, I can breathe for a moment. I know he's coming home soon. I hear the door. He's gonna find me. I'm curled up in fetal position. I have to act extra depressed because I need him to see my pain. It's far too difficult to try to explain the ache and the pain that I feel inside. He gets home, he finds me, and to be honest, I don't really remember what happens at that point, but I know that at least I've been seen for a moment. And I wish that I could tell you that that was the end of it, but to be honest with you, I still struggle to this day. There'll be many times that I'll be at home and the place I'll go is to my bedroom. And I'll climb into my bed, and that's where I'll stay for 1, 2, maybe 3 days, only getting up to go to the bathroom. The only reason I eat is because my husband brings me food. And I have 2 children. And there's a lot of shame. Am I being a good enough mom? I need to be there for them, and I'm not. So why am I still here? Because I know that there's something more. There's something that connected me to the ice castles, to the water, to the trees. One of the things I feared most in my life was my dad passing away. He died 8 years ago. And the day that he died was one of the happiest days of my life. And how could that be? Because at about 6 o'clock in the morning, I was lying in bed, awake, in the dark, and I felt an overwhelming presence come over me, roll up on me, and roll up inside of me and hug me from the inside out. And it was him. He was an atheist, and he would tell me, when we die, we're worms' meat. That's it. We're done. But he said, I'm here. I'm still here. I'll always be here. And you were right. So, yesterday, I went down to the ocean and stood there. And I watched the water, and I watched the waves rolling in. And I listened and I looked. Because to me, the world, the earth, the planet, the universe is like a symphony of spirit. And in everything, there is meaning for me. There are messages and there are signs. And I know that I'm truly not alone. That there are so many people out there that care for and love me, and that there are so many people out there that may have a similar story. And that's why I'm here tonight, to share mine, in the hopes that it will touch and help somebody. Lastly, I want to tell a little story. There's many people here that may have different beliefs than I may have, and I don't know what it is that keeps you going. But for me, this story just kind of says it all. There's a classroom of kindergarten children, and they're all drawing. And the teacher comes up and says to one little girl, "What are you drawing?" And she says, "Well, I'm drawing God." And the teacher says, "Well, you can't draw God. Nobody knows what God looks like." And she says, "Well, they will in a minute."
And now for our next speaker, please welcome Rhonda Underwood.
My name is Rhonda Underwood, my English name, and my Indian name is Makwalogwa, which means to speak loudly. And I really have always been a very quiet person my whole life, and have always been taught to be quiet through culture and also through our family and our upbringing. I'm very grateful to be here today. And a few months ago, when this process began, and I did not realize the impact I would feel during this time and this process. And it's like being almost reborn again and again, like I was in the big house. And I wasn't using my voice or my power or my teachings or the culture, things that were taught to me as a very young girl. I'm going to share with you a little bit about my childhood. I was born here in Central Saanich on the Sayote Reserve. And as far back as I can remember, I probably about 4 years old. And I was afraid as a little girl. I was lonely. And we had a huge family, and everybody had their responsibilities. And I was the youngest of 15. So anyway, I can remember I'm 4 years old, and we're beginning to get moving up into a new home, a bigger home, and leaving our old house. And I remember just periods, like, and it's hard to talk about sometimes. I remember so many traumatic times, and I don't know why that sticks out with me. But today I know, and I know I love myself. I know I'm a strong woman. I know I'm a strong Indigenous woman. And there's lots of baggage, there's lots of history, and I want to share that with you. So between the time I was 6 and 8, I had been sexually molested. And I didn't understand that. I thought, okay, maybe this is love. Maybe this is the way it's supposed to be, because everybody normalized it in my family. At least in my immediate family, no one wanted to talk about it. So anyway, I'm going to move on a little bit quicker. When I was 8 years old, this same person had raped me. And I spent that day so confused. I didn't know what to do, but something in me was helping me. I don't know what. Something in me was helping me. I didn't even know how to write or print or anything, but I wrote this letter, and it was to that person. And it basically just said it was never going to happen again. And it never did. I went to, I would always be wandering around the reserve, running up to the store, whatever. I was barefoot. I would always be in a dress, and I wouldn't, I don't know. And this person would always come around in the community and try to scare me, get in my vehicle, all of those things. And I would never, I don't know why. I just was like, nope, not going to happen. And it never, ever happened again. And I feel that when I look back on it, I know now I was never alone. I know now that people in our community have shared those same experiences and have been scared off and have been silenced. And the suffering in our communities that happen today from addictions and the intergenerational trauma is so painful. But I know it needs to be talked about. We cannot be silent about it. I know my role now is a teacher, and I know that these past few months being with these people, I love them all because we've been healing. And my life, I believe, and I was told that before from elders, and I'm so grateful that they taught me that I'm going to be a healer. And I bless myself every day when I go to the mountains and I sing. The tools that they gave me, the culture and the teachings, the love, they gave me. Mental illness, it sure can send you in a whirlwind. 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. 2 years ago, I got out of a very domestic, violent relationship. And I dove really deep into depression. I really felt alone. I really felt I got to that dark place, and I didn't think that I would ever get out of it. And part of me was sitting on the fence going, okay, 2 months, I'm giving you 2 months, and then you get out of this. Pull yourself out. And I prayed, and I don't know, I just prayed. And my God came to me. Things started to change. Things started to turn around for me. And I never want to go to that place again. I know in my heart I never will. Because I have so many people who love me, and I love me. Whew. And I couldn't say that for a long, long time. That was a very short version of my story, but I will be ending it off with my traditional song. And I will lay cut to you now and tell you I love you all.
And now for our next speaker, Joseph Briante.
So I was depressed for a very long time. I don't really remember a lot in childhood. I was miserable. I was bullied, and I really hated myself. And it kind of didn't change for a long time. So my main coping mechanism was achievement. So I pushed myself into things I really didn't want to do, like law school. But I had a couple outlets, and I had some like joy kind of percolating somewhere under that mantle of misery. I really enjoyed drugs, and but that became a bit too much too. So my life started to kind of unravel in my early 30s. Had a public manic episode at work, which is great. And from there, things got to kind of unravel to another dimension of crazy. So if you got manic, the next level is psychosis. That's like kind of like the bonus level of mental illness. And it's manic's a little bit fun, right? You're kind of surfing a wave, and everything's really fun and exciting. Psychosis is like sheer terror. Like, you don't trust anything that's happening in your reality. And it gets like it's absolutely terrifying. So I was there for, I don't know, I must have been manic for about 18 months till it led into this psychosis. And my parents took me to the psych emergency room. It was kind of like going to the drive-through. And I was released without any treatment. And a couple days later, I snapped. I was going for a walk with my parents and the dog. And I ran out of the woods back into my parents' house. And I reached for the knife block, took out a big butcher knife, went into a closet, and went to town on myself. And my mom found me, and I was bleeding to death. So I remember the ambulance, and then I blacked out. I don't know how long I was out, but when I woke up, I couldn't speak or swallow. And in the hospital, they gave me a pen, and I could only scribble. And I was told I had an anoxic brain injury from the blood loss on my left hemisphere of my brain. So that was my rock bottom. And I've been climbing out ever since. Today's actually 11 years and 11 months to the day it happened. So what did I learn from this? Well, I had it was really hard to be grateful for this experience and like, yay, like I survived. Not really. It was like a super slog. I did years of neuro rehab, speech therapy, occupational therapy, every therapy under the sun. But I had some, like, my parents didn't give up on me. And I had some interesting things that happened that I didn't know inside of me. One advantage was I had this hemisphere. The right hemisphere was still kind of like pretty rockin'. And let's face it, like the right hemisphere is where all the action happens. The creativity, the joy, like, you know. So I played like a child. And I had, you know, I was going through the normal rehab cycles. And then I got to do like super awesome things like music and art and dancing. And that's how I recovered. So I think what I developed was curiosity, because things were not easy during that period. I was hospitalized another 4 times for depression. And I would always come to a place and then like fall apart again. But the curiosity kept me alive and that was like my main drive. And like, I don't know, it's hard to take it in that I'm now grateful, and it's taken me this long, but it's like, it's also super awesome. Because like, that whole journey, like, I wouldn't have traded anything for it. And I'm still on mood stabilizers and antidepressants, and I might never recover all my capacities in my brain, but I'm doing like awesome stuff, and I love my life. Thank you.
Please put your hands together for our next speaker, Michelle Frink.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us tonight. I'm going to take just a moment while we all settle back into our seats, and I'm going to breathe you into my heart. And if it feels right to you, maybe you'll breathe me into your heart as well. There is something so sacred about the stories that we hold inside. And in the course of my life, I've experienced a lot of adversity. I think all of us have. And with adversity comes strength, it comes resilience. But there's also a lot of trauma that walks with that. And the story that I'm going to ask that you walk with me on tonight is a story into my heart, into a recent hurt, a recent trauma. And I am going to ask that you look to yourself and to your life too, to the ones that you love, to your neighbors, to your grandchildren, to your children, as I share my story with you. When I was a young woman, I was 17, I became pregnant, and I thought I knew what it meant to be an adult. Clearly I did not, right? What 17-year-old does. My son was born when I was 18, a beautiful, amazing, intense soul. And his name is Caden. And Caden was the perfect athlete. He was the perfect little boy. He loved me like only a perfect child could. He had a beautiful smile, and these liquid gold brown eyes. And when he looked at you, it was like you were the most important person in the whole world. And he did that not just for me, he did it for everyone that he loved. Everyone. And he's a really bright light. And I want you to consider with me all the bright lights in your life. And I'm going to digress for just a second, because there's something that I want to share with you about what I've learned. I have the truth of who I am. And that's the part that goes really deep. That's the part that no matter what is always there. But there's another part, and that's my growing body, and it also could be called my pain body. And that's the place where most of us meet. That's the place where most of us find each other. We go, oh, I got the same hurt. I got my hip hurts. Well, your hip hurts? Hey, we can be friends. We know each other this way, right? I don't get enough sleep. My kids are up all night. I hate my job. We commiserate in our pain and our suffering places. And that's okay. It's not a judgment. Let's not go there. This is about how we grow. And what I've learned is that my pain body is where I grow. My truth is what holds me up. A year ago, in August, we were getting ready to celebrate my youngest son's first birthday. It was August 19th, it was a Sunday. And called him up. He had a habit of not being awake on time for me to pick him up to go places. He didn't have his own car. He's 22. And I left a message for him. I sent him a message on Messenger. And I get a call. 2 calls. 3 calls. I'm at the grocery store. I'm pushing the little ones. I have 3 little ones, 6, 4, and 2 now. And we were picking up food for the birthday party, and we were going to go pick up Caden and go to the park. We had a family friend and their kids were coming too. And I said, hey, what's up? Are you going to be ready for me to pick you up in like 5 minutes? I'm getting the kids out to the car. He says, Mom, I'm not going to be able to go. I'm really sorry. I'm like, wait, what happened? He says, I'm drunk, Mom. Oh, okay. He says, Mom, I can't do this anymore. What is it that you can't do anymore? It would be great if we weren't drunk on your brother's birthday anymore. What is it that we can't do anymore, son? He says, I can't do this, Mom. I hate my life. My body hates me. It was at that moment. I can still remember the feeling of the grocery cart as I'm pushing it over the rough sidewalk. There's certain things you never forget, you know? And my kids are in the cart, completely oblivious. And I realize that he's walking out of his body. He's asking me to let him go. I'm not going to let go. Caden had a history of suicide ideation since the age of about 5, off and on. He walked with a lot of trauma from childhood, from me being deep in depression with complex PTSD and trauma that I didn't know how to heal. I didn't have the tools to heal it at the time. So I was emotionally absent. It was what clinically termed dissociated a lot of the time. Caden said, Mom, I can't do this anymore. I said, son, I need you. Like, we need you. The world needs you. You have so much to offer us. How many of us know young people that have so much to offer, so much to give, but they don't know how. They don't know what their purpose is. And I want to share with you that, it's really easy to say, wow, that's really sad, and that's really a story that, is intense, and I'm going to put it over there, and it's not mine. But I'm going to offer something to you. I think we're all addicts in some way or another, because we all have trauma that's not been healed. And when trauma doesn't get healed, it needs something to put over it so that we can feel comfortable and safe to live. Caden took his life that day. He shot himself. And when the officers came to me and they said, he's gone, I asked them, where did he go? Did he leave the house? He didn't answer his phone. Did he leave and not tell me? No, ma'am, I'm sorry. He's deceased. And I remember falling to the ground. I had my sister on the phone. And when I fell to the ground, I felt the earth come up to meet me. And I remember that agonizing truth that he's never going to come home. He's never going to tell me that he loves me. He's never going to push his sisters on the swing again. He's never going to know what it's like to feel clarity about his purpose. But my spiritual training taught me that there's something else I can do. And that is to realize that the truth isn't going to change because I want it to. But there are also truths that never change. And that is that energy is everywhere. And my son is energy. I'm energy. You're energy. And I'm not the grief. I'm not the trauma. I'm not the wound. I'm what runs underneath it. And I just want to offer you tonight that there are tools, there are ways to heal that trauma, to let it go. It doesn't change your memory. It doesn't change the intensity or the power of it, but it takes that charge off. And then we get to walk into that clarity. We get to walk through that door. We get to give our youth a sense of purpose and a sense of clarity, and we're the ones that owe it to them. Because we're the ones that know how to do it. We're the ones that have the maturity of heart and body and mind, the awareness to be able to walk in a way that can show others. I ask you, please, for those that don't have voices, listen. Listen to the heartbeat. Listen for that truth that runs underneath inside of us, because it isn't something that we get to point to out here. It starts inside, that we heal. We all deserve that. Thank you so much.
And next up is our Megan Supernault.
It's Rachel. Diemnis Jelicha. Ies quanis etha atia Enoch. He looks in quens Rachel. Haishka quens leitnan at nesquiam. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming here tonight. I'm happy to be here. And thank you for listening to my story. In my late 20s, in my early 30s, I struggled with depression, anxiety, social anxiety, which is especially fun. When you work through the anxiety to get to the party. And then you're at the party and you go home and you're like, start telling yourself all the bad things about yourself. When I was 30 years old, I was 329 pounds, my heaviest weight that I saw on a scale. I was struggling to live life. Life was hard. I have 2 beautiful children, and I tried to do the best I could as a mother for them. But when you're struggling with depression, when you're struggling with anxiety, it's hard to do those things. And I was living my life in chaos. I was letting decisions that others were making in their life affect my life and how I was living my life. Now, as a teenager, I struggled with addictions. I was an alcoholic. I drank up into my early 20s, and I partied hard. And one day, I lay in bed, and I was looking out the blue sky, praying to Creator for change. I wanted change in my life. I didn't want to live my life that way. Now, with addictions, it's not like you just quit and then it just goes away, right? All the trauma, all the things that you've been dealing with and trying to heal with that, they don't just go away. So, a little while later, I found out I was pregnant. Now, it was like Creator being like, boom, there you go. You want change? Here you go. My son is my angel. Now, I've always been big. I was always big as a young teenager, young adult. But when I quit drinking and I was pregnant, I ate. I started eating. I ate to comfort, to try and heal myself. And I got up to 329 pounds. It's hard to love yourself when you're that big. You don't feel good about yourself. You don't feel good about anything that you're doing. I felt guilty all the time. I didn't think I was being a very good mother. I have 2 children now. I had a daughter a little while later. And I didn't think I deserved them, my beautiful children. Why would I deserve them if I can't fully give them what they deserve? In 2017, October 2017, I realized nothing ever changes if nothing ever changes. And I made a decision to dedicate a year to myself, to me. So I started taking time to take care of me, to love me. And that's not easy. I mean, as mothers, we're expected to do everything, right? Like you gotta work, you gotta cook, you gotta clean. But what I realized was, after talking with my therapist, who told me, basically, if I didn't start taking care of myself, I was going to end up in the hospital. I realized how important it was to take time for myself, and that it was okay. It's okay to take care of yourself. And in doing that, I've lost 140 pounds. That is a lightweight boxer. I mean, come on. And you know, like, the crazy thing about it is that, like, I was like losing weight, right? You think about the physical change, but there's this like mental change. And it's like, whoa, I matter. I'm important. You know, I've always wanted to matter in everybody's life. I've always wanted people to want me in their life. And what I found myself doing as a young adult was giving pieces of myself out to people who didn't deserve it. Handing out pieces in the hopes that me giving them a piece of myself, they would want me to be there. But what I realized is I matter, and really what matters is how I feel about myself in knowing that I matter. And if people want me in their life, then I would gladly be there. But I can't force anyone to want to spend time with me. I'm a bit loud. I try not to take over, but maybe I do sometimes. But that's okay. I love me. I love myself now. And that's not something I could have ever said before. I've learned to love all of the pieces of me. Now I'm of mixed ancestry. My mother is Scottish and my father is Cree. I was raised here on this beautiful island, away from my family. We would go and we would spend time with my dad in the summer up north in northern BC. Anybody ever been up there? It's, you know, you go up there, it's a nice place to visit, but I don't think I could live there. I'm always so thankful to come back to this place. You know, I say that I'm prairie by blood, but I'm West Coast at heart. And I'm so thankful to be in this beautiful place that we live in, Husaynich. I'm learning my children's language, and my husband's, which is not my own. It's in Chothan. And I wouldn't have had the courage to do that had I not started this journey. If I hadn't started to work on myself and heal all my broken pieces, I would not have had the courage to go to university and work towards my B.Ed, or come on a stage in front of a bunch of people. You know, when I worked in a school, and they would ask me to talk in front of, in assemblies and stuff, and it was a hard no. It's like, there's no way I am going to get up there. But here I am. I'm so thankful to share this space with you all. You know, this whole process has really been a healing process. We had to dig deep, look at the roots, you know. And that's hard. It's not easy. But I'm really thankful that I did it. Ajka, Emily, thank you for giving us this space to open our hearts and share with some people. You know, I say, like, even if I can inspire one person to take a look at themselves and heal themselves, work towards healing themselves, I've done my job. You know, I don't expect to change everybody's life, but I know how empowered I feel in taking care of myself. You know, about a few weeks ago, I ran my first half marathon. Now, last year, like this has been a process. Last year I walked that half marathon with my mom, and we were the second to last. This year I came 55th out of 126. It's not too bad, right? You know, running has been, and I'm not saying like go start running half marathons and stuff to heal yourself, but running has really helped to heal me. When I'm running, I feel strong, I feel good, and I like being able to feel that way. I feel grounded, and I use that time for myself to really let things go. And with anxiety, you know, one thing that you can do that my therapist taught me was move. And it helps to heal you. And so that's what I do. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys again, Hajka, Moksain, for coming here tonight, listening to my story. I appreciate you all, and I love you all. Hajka.
And now for our second to last speaker, please welcome John Close.
We're all connected. Did you know that? Like it or not, we are all connected. And if there's one word that connects us all, it would be pain. I tell you, the worst physical pain I ever felt was 11 days ago. One thing I like to do a lot is go running in the mountains. And this was a Monday, and I live in Duncan, and there's this mountain 5 minutes from my house, Mount Prevost, and I like to run up it, and it was pouring rain. What could go wrong? So I'm out there with my new trail running shoes, my new fancy Saucony trail running shoes, and I'm running along, and it's going great, and I get to the top of Prevost. If you've ever been to the top of Prevost, you'll know you have to scramble the last 10 minutes. Well, when it's pouring down on the rock, what could go wrong? And so they talk about like 3 points of contact and things like that. At one point I had like one and then none. And so essentially what happened is I had one and I thought, you know what, I'll just vault myself up on this rock like a superhero that I am, and I'll probably be fine. But I remember it clear as day. I had my left foot up there and I tried to vault myself up. And as soon as I landed on my left, it just went out. And I knew I was going back. I was going to fall off a mountain backwards. Not a thing you want to do. And so I remember thinking as I was falling, and I was probably, this is like milliseconds, but with my crazy brain, I was thinking, oh, I better not land on my neck. That could be really bad. And so as I was falling, I sort of flipped myself over and instead landed right on my right shoulder. And I've never broken anything in my life, and I've never dislocated anything, but I knew I had done one of those by the time I stood up. And I had no language for it. I did have language, but I had no language. I had no language for what I was feeling for my diagnosis. But I just thought, my shoulder it's screwed. And I'm at the top of a mountain, and it's pouring rain. I mean, the first 20 seconds, I felt the panic start to come in, and I started thinking back on, like, what are you supposed to do in this situation? I used to watch I Shouldn't Be Alive. I'm like, am I in one of those episodes right now? What did they do? I don't know what they did. But I thought, okay, I just got to get down off this mountain. And let me tell you, I've never felt pain like that in my life. And the worst part is I had to like scramble down with no arm. And a couple times I like slipped again. And I just thought, oh, I'll brace my arm. Oh, it just killed. And the pain radiated through my body. I had to go an hour and a half down the mountain while my arm dangled like this. I mean, it was like a wet noodle. And I thought, like, if someone passes me, they're going to think I'm like a freak. I was thinking that. I was lucid enough to be thinking that. I'm going to look really weird if someone sees me on the mountain. But I got down, and ended up getting to the hospital, and they're like, have you ever had drugs of any kind? And I was like, the strongest thing I've ever had is Advil, and that kind of makes me loopy, but I think I'll be fine. Just give me whatever. And in the end, here I am. I can move my arm this far, but that was the worst pain I ever felt. I mean, just, oh, it was god awful. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And my shoulder was dislocated, as a trailer or spoiler alert. So as painful as that was just physical pain. 2 a.m. is the absolute worst. 15 years ago, I woke up at 2 a.m. and I had no words for what was happening. Looking back, the only metaphor I can come up with is it felt like I was floating through space, but without like the special thing on that allows you to breathe and float through space. So I was just floating. There was no sound. I couldn't breathe, and it was dark, and I felt alone, and I was absolutely terrified. I laid there, just sort of trying to get a thought, and I couldn't even get a thought. And I didn't know what to do. And I felt like just the world was closing in on me, and I didn't even think I was breathing. I must have been breathing. So I didn't know what to do, so I just kind of managed to get up, and I sat beside my wife, who was sleeping, and she woke up to, her husband being very weird. And she just said, what's wrong? And I just said, I can't breathe. And then I just avalanche of tears. I mean, it was awful. And then I left because I was embarrassed, I guess. And I just left to go collect myself. And it was brutal. In the morning, at breakfast, it was kind of awkward. It's like, do you remember last night? Did I do something weird? When I kind of came to, and she's like, yeah, what was up with that? And I was like, I don't know. No more chicken wings before bed, I guess. But I mean, I just kind of thought it was a one-off. I mean, it was horrible, the worst thing I ever experienced. But it's a one-off, whatever. And then, the next night, guess what? It came back, and it was even worse because I had no language for what was happening. And I was embarrassed at the same time. I hope Angie doesn't wake up and see me in this condition. I felt this need to be strong, and I almost was panicking about the panic that was happening. And let me tell you, it did not get better. In fact, the panic attacks, which I soon to find out that's what it was, it turned into these horrible, horrible dreams. I mean, these I would say evil dreams. These dreams where, and I can still see it when I close my eyes, these dreams where I would be in the dream and I'd be looking down and I would see myself loading a gun. But at the same time, I would not want to be doing it. I was afraid, but I could feel like there was this force just saying, load the gun. Load the gun. It just kept telling me that. And the dream kind of stopped there, and then it would continue after each night. And it would continue to the point where finally the voice would seem to be saying, like, just get it done. And here's the thing, I was not suicidal. Like, I was not wanting to die, but it was almost like there was something within me that was wanting to kill something within me. It was the strangest thing. It was the strangest thing. And so these things don't just resolve on their own, by the way. Just give it time. It'll be fine. I'll start sleeping through the night. It'll be great. They get worse, as we know. And so the dreams continued, the panic continued, but then I kind of got used to it a little bit. But then the anxiety took over. And so I was somebody who was fine everywhere. I mean, everywhere was safe to me. And then all of a sudden, in a heartbeat, everything was unsafe. Every person, every place, things that used to be safe, there was no safety anymore. I don't know if you've had that feeling. All of a sudden you're in a Costco and you realize there's a million people in here and there's a million things. I'm at least a minute from the exits and I don't think I can make it. And what do? Sitting in a theater with my kids watching a movie and just all of a sudden just feeling the world close in, almost like I was back in bed at 2 a.m. And what do? I'm with my kids. We're at a movie. Not even that scary of a movie. It was like Lion, Witch in the Wardrobe or something. I don't know. But I could just feel it closing in. And I'm like, what is happening to me? And honestly, guys, I just said, it was a panic attack and stuff. I had no idea what was happening. So I decided to ask some friends, and this takes a lot of vulnerability to like say, so here's what's happening to me. I'm having these dreams where I want to kind of kill myself in my sleep and I can't breathe, and Costco's scary now. Do you have anything that could help me in that? And I had a trusted friend who listened, and they just said, well, you know, I know you said to me at one point that you've been starting to have doubts about your faith. Maybe it's like a demon like trying to like strangle you because of your faith struggle. And I was like, can you leave? Like, that's what you think is happening? That's going to help me sleep. Now, it's probably just a demon. Phew. Strangling you. Oh, okay. So tonight when I'm sleeping, I'll just be like, give the demon a name and just be like, get out of here. So I didn't like that advice. And it must seem random to you, like demons, where does demons come? I should tell you, did you know I was a preacher at the time? So it kind of makes sense, right? The person thought they were being helpful. Oh, preacher, he was probably a demon because you have some doubts about your faith. And so here's the thing. I was raised in a conservative Christian, I always want to tack on the word cult at the end, but it wasn't actually a cult, okay? But I was raised in a conservative Christian environment, as conservative as you can be. So this is how conservative it was. You're all familiar with the Holy Bible, right? It's a book. It's very familiar. It's free in most hotels. And my life at the time was, if you want to know anything about life, it's in the Bible. We had a little phrase we'd use, where the Bible speaks, I speak. Where the Bible's silent, I'm silent. In fact, so basically what that meant is like, if you want to know anything about the life in the universe and anything else, then just look in the Bible. If it's not in there, then God works in mysterious ways. This was kind of what I grew up with. And so I didn't question anything, honestly. I didn't question anything for the first 30 years. I loved growing up in it. My parents taught at a Christian school, and I went to a Christian church, and like that was my life. Like 6 nights a week, I was at something Christian, and it was amazing. Like I loved it. All my friends were there. We all believed the same things. We play. I mean, it was a wonderful time in my life. And I started like doing stuff like this. Where I would get up and speak, and people were like, hey, that's cool, you should do more of that. And I was like, all right, I'll do more of that. Can I get paid doing this? Yeah, you can if you become a preacher. Wow, I'll become a preacher. You kind of have to go to school, though. Okay, fine, I'll go to school. And so I went to school and got like a bachelor of like God, I guess, and then like a master's of like the universe. No, the master's of something else. And I'm like, I am like certified preacher material now. And so I got a job in Calgary as a youth pastor for like kids and teenagers. They put me in charge, and the first 3 years was amazing. I took that program and I was innovative and I was doing all these amazing things, and I was bringing in the lost. These are what we called people who weren't in the church, they were lost. I'd bring in the lost, and we got so many people in our church, and it was great. But like all of a sudden, these little intellectual flies started coming in. I guess they're called doubts. These little whispers, where I would read a scripture and I'd be like, I don't know, that kind of reeks a little bit of bullshit. This is, God works in mysterious ways. But, you know, I'll just keep doing it. You know, I was good at it. It was my career. I knew how to do it. And I was like, I'm probably just, whatever. I'm probably just being weird is fine. But then it just got stronger and stronger. And then all of a sudden I would do these things where I would like go to chapters and be like, no one's around. And I'd go to like the religion section and pull out a book by like Sam Harris or like Richard Dawkins or one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And I would just start thumbing through, and I'd be like, oh my gosh. It was like I was reading porn. I mean, somebody would walk by, you know, in chapters. I'd be like, what? You know, nothing. Pull out a Bible. You know, but these words I'd be reading, they're so enticing, and they were feeling like this spirit it wasn't the Holy Spirit. It was like the holy shit spirit. You know, it was just like, what is happening here? And I was being exposed to these new ideas I never even considered, and I had no rebuttal. I mean, this was my life. Like I believed this hook, line, and sinker, every bit of it. And then all of a sudden it started to be like, I just don't think it's quite like that anymore. And it wasn't just like theological things where I'm pretty sure Jesus wasn't born of a virgin. It was deeper things. It was the way the Christians were behaving in the world. It was the way the church was behaving. And I was just like, I just can't help but think there's more to life than just this really small worldview. But I'm employed by the church. People are paying me to teach their kids this stuff. What the hell am I supposed to do? I mean, this is my livelihood, right? Like, I can't just be like, well, I'll just start sneaking in some little ideas and try and corrupt today's youth. And so I should have just gone out as soon as that happened, right? But I stayed with it, and I just started changing my messages to where I wouldn't be overtly against the Bible, but I mean, I wouldn't say they're biblically inspired, if you know what I'm saying. By the end, I mean, I was doing talks on like world religion, and I was bringing in like the Buddhists to talk to us, and I was bringing in the Muslims to talk to us, and still they didn't like start to like wonder, what is John doing here? You know, because I could sell it. I could be like, we need to know what they're teaching so we can be aware, you know. But meanwhile, I was like, this is great. This is keeping my soul alive here, because I really do believe that God exists outside the Christian church. So you can start to see why I would start to have panic attacks at 2 a.m. If you're starting to put two and two together, you're smart. You're starting to see, I see. So your entire career, your entire identity, your job. I had 3 kids at the time, 1 wife, if you're counting, and I was being paid to do this, and yet I didn't believe it anymore. I had pastor friends who I would talk to about this, and they're just like, we all have doubts, man. Just forget about it. Just keep doing your thing. You're a good preacher. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I won't do that. And so I realized I got to get out. Well, I realized that and then stayed another 3 years, because guess what, folks? That's what we do. When we realize that we're living a lie, it takes us a little while to get out, because we got to get our affairs in order, right? But when we keep living a lie, what ends up happening is we start suffering. And so, you know, that malevolent voice I talked about that was just like, just get it done. Looking back, I now know that was my true self trying to kill my false self or my counterfeit self. He was like, we got to get rid of that guy. He's really, really causing us issues. And I didn't know that at the time. And so I did. But my wife is amazing. She helped me have the courage to say to the church, I'm leaving. And I didn't say anything. They had no idea. We left. And then we took some time off. And then I thought, and this is what we do, right? I had to leave because I was living a lie, and I can't live a lie. And I don't believe this stuff anymore. So how can I teach people that? And that's my career, and I haven't been training for anything else. It's not like I can get a job as a manager at Home Depot at this point. I have a master's of God. Will that be helpful? You know, I was useless. I mean, I had no training for anything. And so I thought maybe it was just that church. You know, maybe a different church would be fine. And so I went to this interview, and it was a massive, big church, and I was going to be like they put me through all these tests and stuff, like personality tests and stuff. They're like, he's awesome. And in the end, they were able to pick a position for me that was the pastor of community connection. And it was perfect. It was going to be amazing. I was like, all right, I can do this. You know, we don't have to get into the details about like the Trinity and freaking Born of the Virgin thing. Like, who knows anyways? I can just help people and connect with people. That's what I love to do. And so we're on the 1 yard line. I was ready to sign. It was amazing. And they said, all right, John, we want to give you the position, but what we're going to have to do now is it's just a formality. We're going to send you a document that we need you to sign. And this document was called a statement of faith. And a statement of faith in the church is basically they have like commands, like 10, I guess. And there's commands like, you know, do you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God? Do you believe that Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit are together as a Trinity? Do you believe the Bible is inerrant, which means there's no mistakes? And I was just like looking through with the pen, and I remember just sitting there being like ready to mindlessly check them all. And then I got a job, and I got my security again. And then I just realized that true self, you know, that annoying guy that was keeping me awake at 2 a.m. it was just like I was fighting the pen. It's like, you can't. I'm sorry, you can't. Like, I know you have no money right now and you got kids and a wife, but you can't do something that goes against your beliefs, or you can't live a lie anymore, man. You can't do it. I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, they flew me out. I got the job. Like, what am I going to do? And so what I did is made the most awkward phone call of my life and called up the pastor and just said, so I probably should have led with this, but I can't I can't sign this. And I'm sorry. And he's like, you can't sign one. I can't. There's some of these I don't believe in. I said, there's some of these I don't believe in. He's like, well, which ones? I was like, well, all the ones you sent. Is there more? I could take a look at those. And so that was that. And so there I was, jobless, with no identity anymore. Because remember, my whole 30 years, I was being groomed to be a preacher, and I had certainty in my life. And when you go from certainty and knowing who you are to no certainty and not knowing who you are, you're probably going to have panic attacks in the middle of the night. You're probably going to feel anxious when you're out and about with folks. And let me tell you, it was just the absolute worst experience of my life. Just day in and day out, anxiety and panic, because my soul was just, it wasn't, there was no safety. There was no place I could just be myself, because I lost who I was. This was 10 years ago. I had no idea who I was. And so we moved to this island 10 years ago. And for the last 10 years, I've been doing the great job of trying to refine myself. Let me tell you, that's some of the hardest and most important work we could ever do as human beings. And a lot of us, for whatever reason, spin out when that comes, and we just continue on. We just stay in that job and in the relationship and stuff. And I could not do that anymore. So what have I learned along the way? I'm sure I'm way over my time. I'm sorry. What have I learned along the way? I've learned a few things. First of all, my mental health challenges were a direct result of me living a lie. Second thing I learned is anxiety, which I used to resist and dread. I now kind of look at as a bit of a barometer for my true self, like keeping me in check. When I start to feel those familiar feelings in that tight chest and that uneasiness, it's a way to keep me grounded. And we talk about how anxiety comes at like waves. And waves, I mean, you could be on a boat and be like dreading the waves, but the waves are, that's part of the ocean, and that's part of the ocean of our experience, and the waves are never going away. And so instead of dreading them or resisting them, which causes us more pain and more suffering, what if we just became better surfers? And that's what I've been working on, is just trying to surf the waves and thinking maybe the waves aren't trying to pull me down and drown me. Maybe they're trying to lift me up and help me carry on in life. And I just need to become a better surfer. So I'm trying to become a better surfer. And I guess the last thing I learned is I'm a lot stronger than I think, because let me tell you what, going through anxiety and panic makes you feel very weak. And it makes you feel shame, especially as a man. And it took a long time before I could admit this kind of stuff. And there's a stigma around it. But I'm happy to say that I have nothing to be ashamed of anymore. Yeah. It's a wonderful quote. I don't know who said it. I think I heard it in like a movie or something, but it's a wonderful quote. And it says, fate says to the warrior, a storm is coming. The warrior says back, I am the storm. One of the things I missed the most about my Christian experience was the community. And that's one of the things I've been looking for ever since. The community was the hardest thing to give up. I give up the theology, but the community, the people were wonderful. They still are. I miss them to death. And all the last 10 years, I've been trying to find that. And let me tell you, in the last few years, I have found community. Andrew, I have found a best friend who loves me as I am. We've started a podcast together where we interview other people with their struggles and obstacles and how they get through life. And the community that's formed from that has been amazing. This community with these people over here, let me tell you, this is true community without all the freaking dogma. And it's great to have this community back. And I just encourage the rest of you to find a real community where you can be yourself and surround yourselves with people who can allow you to live your true self and stop living a lie, because that's what's killing us. Thank you so much.
Please welcome our final speaker, host and director, Emily Olson.
I love my life. Tonight I want to talk to you about joy. The last year of my life has been the most incredible experience of joy in all of my life up to that point. And I want to let you know what joy actually means to me. Joy is happiness. Joy is love. Joy is courage, kindness, and joy is connection. But I've also discovered that joy is anger. Joy is sadness. Joy is isolation and fear. It's all the things. Except, for me, joy is not depression. In January of 2002, I was admitted to a psychiatric ward. And the 2 weeks in lead up to that night, I was walking aimlessly through the streets of Vancouver. And I was making very unsafe decisions. I was hearing voices. And the voices were saying things that, to be honest, were unspeakable. And those voices came with the sound of my own voice. So it was very confusing. But something told me to come home to Victoria. And I came home to Victoria, and I didn't necessarily know what to do, or what to say to my loved ones, but they recognized that I was not quite right. And they took me to the psych ward. And I have to say, the psych ward is actually kind of fun. Like when you get there, after that humiliating piece where they go through your bag and search through all the things and decide whether or not it's harmful to you or not. And you go in your special little room and, you know, I can remember those little pink tiles that made up the walls and the pajamas they gave you, like an orangey kind of a color. And my plan was to put the Ativan to the side of my mouth and not actually take it. But that stuff dissolves really fast. And as the effects of the Ativan made my mouth fuzzy, and I started to notice this just fuzziness, really. It was actually a really cool moment. And what was neat about that moment for me was that was the first time in several weeks that I didn't hear the voices. And I had a moment of, oh, this is rock bottom. Man, is rock bottom ever cool. Because at rock bottom, you get to go, I have no control at all. And I just get to let go and get looked after. So for me, it was an absolute blessing. Didn't sleep very well that night, in and out. And the 2 weeks after weren't really very productive. Nothing really came of it. I got my meds switched. I actually think the meds were the thing that led to the voices. But I got on a different medication, and that medication was just sort of a numbing of life, a dulling down of my spirit. But it helped me get through that part where the voices were telling me to take my own life and leave this world prematurely. And I knew I didn't want that. And I knew that that wasn't my voice, but it was a tricky time. Since the rock bottom, I had the movie scene. I got to be the dramatic girl in the psych ward and do that whole bit. And I met some interesting people in there with different stories and experiences. And it was actually really a beautiful place to just go, okay, I'm a human being. You got me. But what that started was a new process for me, and that was an awareness, a little speck of awareness of what was possible for my life. And though I would say my deep, sadness started at about 15, and it was always there, and it was always very secret, and not a lot of people knew. Sometimes I couldn't even understand it. There was such joy in my life, and I had beautiful friends, a lovely family. I became a mom. I have 2 beautiful children, a lovely marriage, a beautiful community. But there was still that thing that was missing. I used to say to my husband, I just want to be happy. I just want to be a good person. And those words themselves are so far out there, and I didn't know it. That I didn't need to go out there. I needed to go in here. Lots of things got me to start going in here. And I could list them off. They've been highlighted tonight. We all have them. But I fell upon this thing called meditation. And one day I decided I was going to meditate for an hour every day for 2 weeks. And by the 14th day, I just got this little, I call it a whisper. And the whisper said, you need to talk about this. You need to share what you can share, which kind of went against everything that I had been experiencing. And so I thought, oh, it would be really cool to do a play. And I pictured this theater in this town and this stage. And I started dreaming up this thing where we could get on stage and tell our stories and that it would be okay. And it was a bit scary. It was a lot scary, actually. And I started trying to design it, and I actually phoned and I booked the theater without knowing what I was going to do. And I booked the theater, and then I meditated again real hard. I meditated hard, and then that Friday I went to a poetry reading. And people were saying lovely poems. I got up, I did a poem. And then a woman walked onto the stage. And she got up there and she read a poem called Discretion, the movie. And you could hear a pin drop. And I watched this woman, and she victoriously got off that stage. And after that intense sharing of her inner being, her inner life, her biggest secrets, after sharing that, she got off the stage, and I saw this just little flash of a smile to the poetry organizer. And I went up to the woman after, because I was like, oh, she wrote my poem. She wrote my poem, and it inspired me so much that I asked her if she would perform it as well on this stage last year at the Connection Project, and she did that, and she's sitting in the front row. But what happened from that relationship was a whole lot of connections, and a whole lot of people got on stage, people sang, people shared from their hearts and talked about that very private world in their minds that is so challenging to share because it seems strange, it seems weird, sometimes embarrassing. But we all were okay in the end. Like, nobody didn't survive that experience. But what actually came out of it for me and the people last year on stage was a healing. And since last year, the healing that has happened for me is that I got to see that the opposite of my mental illness, which was isolation, was connection. And in connecting with those people last year and an audience and working through that and actually starting to have these conversations with everybody, it started to normalize these things and it started to get a lot less scary. And I noticed the thoughts of suicide when things would get overwhelming would still show up. They do, a couple weeks ago. But what that was for me, my particular mind would work in these ways where it would say, this is too much right now, and so you're going to have a thought that takes you out of the thing that's causing you the pain, and it's giving you an out. And now I get to just look at that thought, just like meditation. Thank you, thank you. I get to see that I'm really out of alignment, or there's something here that wants me to pay attention to it. And the difference between me on the stage last year and me on the stage this year is that I feel joy. I feel joy every day because I know that the anger is not something I need to resist. The sadness, cry, be vulnerable. I get to experience myself in frustration or pulling back a bit, and I just get to be okay with it and realize that that is the aligning and the misalignment that happens, just like the ocean, the ebb and flow. And that's been so joyous for me. And so I actually feel like a healed person by doing that last year and then working with these incredible people this year. I am so incredibly honored to have gone through what I've gone through with an incredible partner, Lisa here. Her and I met at our house, and our little puppy Tui, who's 6 months old, she would sit with us. This beautiful creature, this little dog, just came into the world and has been looking after each and every one of us through the process. And what that process looked like was, okay, so you've auditioned, you want to come, you want to tell your story about your mental health wherever you're at. And everyone would show up with a typed out speech. And we just sort of crumpled those up and threw them out. And then we sat and we said, what would it be like to just connect to your heart? What would it be like to just be in the moment right now? You, your inner being, the perfection that you are with all the stuff that you've been through. You are perfect in every moment. And what would it look like if you spoke from that place? Oh man, did we have some fun. Joseph's hilarious. We had lots of laughs. We had a lot of tears. We had a lot of messiness, a lot of judging ourselves, a lot of healing. And each and every one of us healed each and every one of us. So I am just so grateful to have received that idea in my meditation to create a space for this. And I don't know what it looks like going forward, but I sure as heck know that I love it. And I love all of you for coming and being courageous to come and witness these stories and reflect on whatever that might mean for you. And hopefully all my buttons are still done up. And it's a borrowed shirt. It's like something borrowed, something, anyway. So I just want to say, like, just being human and being vulnerable is actually what we want. And it's messy. And sometimes I can't cook dinner, or I want to, well, I don't know if I hide in closets, but it's really hard to get out of bed at that first moment where you're like, but it's okay. It's okay. And I am just so excited for every day. And the one thing I will say that's come from this experience, that joy piece, is unlimited potential in terms of creativity. I don't know what it is about getting right with things, but the creativity piece is amazing. So I don't know if it's, you could see cart before the horse, I don't know. Be creative and you'll find the places that need healing, or heal the things that need healing and you'll find the creativity. I don't know what it is. For me, it's just throwing events together and writing poetry sometimes. But what is it for you? Is it caring for animals? Is it, writing? Is it whatever? Is it being kind? So thank you for being here. It's not over yet. Just going to take this moment in for a second. Thank you, guys. Good job.
I will now take the time to introduce Lisa Bosman to the stage to perform her original song, Hold On.
This wasn't in the rehearsal process, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm going to tell my story. I'm just kidding. I want to thank these people over here that came up here tonight with so much courage and vulnerability. If I start crying, I'm walking off. My God, the process we've been through has been so healing for me. And I love all of you. And I love everybody in this room. So I love you, by the way. Now I'm going to sing you a song and you better clap. Just kidding. Okay. Anyway, thank you, Emily Olson, for bringing us all together for this. I think it's so amazing. And I hope you all got some healing tonight. I wanted to make sure I took everybody in because I told them to do that. Now I've got to do it. They did such a good job of it. I don't even know if I can sing right now. Okay. She sings a song as if she sang it all along, tells her stories of pain, love, and dark. Paints the pictures and hangs them on a wall. And if she falls, hold on to life, hold on to love, hold on while you dance with your life. Through a child's eyes, she dances with the trees, sings them stories of hope and wild dreams. Leaves are changing in the darkness of the night, and then she flies. Hold on to life, hold hold on to love. Oh, hold on while you dance with your life. Hold on, oh, hold on, yeah, hold on while you dance with your life. Hold on, oh, hold on, yeah, hold on while you dance with your life. Feel the life, it's running down your face. It's the healing, it's a moment of grace. Feel the presence, oh, the magic of it all. And if you fall, hold on to life, hold on to love. Hold on while you dance with your life. Hold on, oh, hold on, yeah, hold on while you dance with your life. Hold on, oh, hold on, yeah, hold on while you dance with your life.